Hello everyone and welcome to Make Believe Storytime. My name is Beatrice and in today's video you are joining me for another original mini-story called Curious Cam. The stories in this series, which is called Make Believe Mini-Stories, are inspired by the roll of the dice. Now, our first original mini-story is called The Wand That Worked, and you can watch that at the link in the description box below if you're watching this on YouTube or on our IGTV if you're watching on Instagram. For this story, we have used the same story dice as last time, namely Rory's story dice. However, if you'd like to make up your own story, you can use any story dice you like. In fact, you can make your own by giving the numbers on a regular dice corresponding pictures. The story that you make up will depend on what those images mean to you and in what order you use them. And remember, for these mini-stories, we enter the land of make-believe in the traditional way, with Once Upon a Time. Curious Cam. Once upon a time, in a village not far from here, there was a girl called Tess, who lived in the shadow of an old folk legend that told of the terrible fate of Curious Cam. Curiosity was feared in Tess's village and blamed for misfortune. It had made the villagers timid and quiet, which only made Tess more curious about Cam and the legend. Tess's mum worked on Saturdays, so Tess had packed up a backpack for a day of exploring. She had a compass in case she got lost, a magnifying glass for studying bugs, a ball of string for rescue missions, Mum's compact mirror for looking round corners and sending light signals to the neighbourhood kids, a flask of hot chocolate, and her favourite book. Tess shouldered her backpack and set off down the lane, hoping for an adventure. The houses soon began to thin out, and the woods rose up around her. She gazed at the morning sunlight streaming through the leaves. The damp grass twinkled in the warm yellow light. Tess's eyes fell on a path she hadn't noticed before. She stopped and peered at it. I wonder where that goes, she thought to herself, then quickly shook her head. Curiosity is bad, Tess, she said out loud. Except she didn't really believe that. Tess had a curious nature. It had led her to learn wonderful things, meet great people and have exciting adventures. That wasn't bad, was it? The book in Tess's bag was about the science of medicine. She was going to be a doctor one day, and doctors needed to be curious to search for answers. Tess turned onto the path. She had not been walking long when she was surprised by a little voice close to her ear. Where are you going? The voice asked. Tess spun round and came nose to nose with a little yellow fairy sprite. I was just going for a walk. You shouldn't go this way, the sprite said. Please, turn back. Why? Tess asked, still walking. This path leads to a cottage. A terrible monster lives there. She is cursed and will kill you if you look at her. Tess felt the hairs on the back of her neck prickle. Why would she kill me? She asked. I've done nothing wrong. It is her curse to kill you. She's being punished for eternity for her curiosity, doomed to loneliness. Anyone who looks into her eyes is transformed into stone. You're talking about Cam, but that was years ago, and the forbidden pool she looked into is all dried up. It's nothing but dust. How can she still be alive? She's cursed, the sprite shouted. She will be this way for eternity. Now, please, I beg you, turn back. Tess stopped. She noticed a squirrel to the left of the path. It didn't move, its stone eyes fixed open, staring straight ahead. She looked around her. Dotted among the trees were stone creatures she hadn't noticed. Many were almost invisible under a thick blanket of soft green moss. The little squirrel still had a hazelnut clutched in his paws, a recent addition it seemed. "What's wrong with curiosity?" Tess asked the sprite. "An eternity of loneliness seems a little unfair." Tess was astonished to discover that amongst her fear and her anger about the curse, she was very curious. After all, curiosity has led us to learn so much about the world around us. That's a good thing, she argued. "Well, Cam's curiosity was bad, and bad things will happen if you stay here," the sprite pleaded with Tess. "Maybe there's a way to break the curse?" Tess asked suddenly. Maybe Cam could undo her bad curiosity with good. Tess took off her backpack and started rooting around in it. A plan was forming in her mind. A few minutes later, and with her eyes firmly on the ground, Tess gently placed her book on the doorstep of Cam's cottage and crept away to hide behind a large fallen tree. The sprite was waiting, too frightened to go with her. Tess picked up a pebble and threw it at the cottage, then ducked back down. The pebble bounced off the roof and the door to the cottage creaked open. Tess held one half of her mother's compact mirror in her hand and angled it so that she could see Cam's reflection. Her heart grew heavy with sadness. Cam's skin was blue and scaly, and her hair was a mass of tiny writhing snakes. The curse had truly made her look the monster. She bent to pick up the book, reading the words Tess had scribbled on the front. A gift from one curious soul to another. Cam opened the front cover and looked straight into the other half of Mum's compact mirror, which Tess had tied inside the book. Her screams filled every corner of the woods. It was the first and last time she saw her reflection as a monster. The book fell from her hands, smashing the mirror on the doorstep.
"Did it work?" the sprite whispered. "Yeah, it worked," Tess whispered back. The end.
And that was the story of Curious Cam and Tess. Now, girls and boys, I wonder, what do you think about curiosity? From this story, I think we've learned that being curious is amazing. It can lead us to meeting great people, going on exciting adventures, and learning wonderful things, like in the case of Tess. However, too much curiosity and not enough caution can also lead to terrible events, like in the case of Curious Cam when she got turned into a monster. So I guess we have to find the balance, right? And if you've enjoyed today's story, then please do give us a like, subscribe if you are watching this on our YouTube channel, follow us if you are on Instagram, and maybe even share the video with somebody you think may find it interesting. I'll see you guys next time.